Platinum, wow. Okay, dude. He's contracted by Blizzard? Good. Okay.
Not enough rage.
Need more rage. Need more rage.
I don't know if I can watch that or listen to this. I'm gonna get PTSD. Sorry, I've just had so many duels with mages where it says that. Like, I don't know, it's just a little bit too much.
Not enough rage.
Need more rage. Need more rage.
Not enough rage.
Need more rage. Need more rage.
Okay.
I need to get closer.
Warriors
Shut
are the
the fuck
slowest
up.
class to level, but they are one of the most played classes, the best tanks, and a blast to play at 60.
True. Big
so why
true.
should you play one of these beefcakes in Classic WoW?
Because you're better than everyone
Well,
else.
let's see what the Warrior brings to the table. Like I mentioned, Warrior is painfully slow to level.
Shut up.
They're very gear reliant and lack some of the useful utility and have no self-healing. You can only pull one or
whenever you
maybe
put it like
two
that.
mobs at a time, and you'll likely have to eat after every pull or two. So you need to bring a lot of food and bandages.
There was this one time I came home from my dad's house or something like that after I ate dinner at his house, and I saddled the fuck up, and I went to the Chillwind camp, and I bought like 10 stacks of mushrooms, because back then I had like this thing where I would only allow my character to eat mushrooms. So like the dried king bolete and like all of the other level 60 foods that were mushrooms. I don't know why, right? I mean, it's the same reason why I collected 8 different Taskmaster axes. But I swear to God, no, you say it's a fake story? I'm not even in... It's so stupid, it can't be real. Or sorry, it can't be fake. Like, at a certain point, like, who would ever even think of this? So I sat down, and I farmed out bears in Western Plaguelands to level to 55 or something like that. I forgot what level it was. Eating mushrooms. And I had to sit down and eat after every single pull. I will always remember that moment. Self-exposed? Hey, look, dude. Verbal dyslexia.
On a lighter note, warriors have a trick up their sleeve to help them out, and it's called hamstring kiting. The basic strat is you use hamstring on a mob and run past to hit it every time your swing timer is off cooldown. This stops the mob from getting hits in between your attacks, so you can minimize the damage you take and maximize the damage you can do. It's highly recommended you get a swing timer add-on so you can time this correctly as well.
I used to do that.
This method is great when dealing with higher level mobs and should be a skill every warrior should have up their sleeve. Okay, so you got 2 different routes when leveling as a warrior. It's the classic debate between arms versus furry. Look, I'm in Fury.
Dude. Stop.
Fury, get that off my screen.
Please.
So Fury does more damage, but it lacks utility compared to arms.
That's better.
To do maximum damage as Fury, you're gonna have to abuse /sitting. You want to get a macro for this, and the reason why you do it is so the mob you're fighting will get a critical hit on you, so you proc and rage for 25% more damage.
Of course.
The bonus for leveling for Fury is you don't need to spec into a specific weapon type to be efficient. You just slap on
That's
what's
true.
best.
Okay.
Usually people respec at 40
That's
to
a big
arms
true.
because of Mortal Strike.
It's not a big true, but it's
Now,
a true.
arms does not do as much damage in the earlier levels, but it does have utility, and I think that outweighs that negative. With
not for
arms,
low.
you get amazing spells like Sweeping Strikes, Tactical Mastery, Improved Charge, and Mortal Strike, just to name a few.
Okay, yeah, that is kind of
Arms
true.
is much better at PvP, so I'd suggest picking the spec on a PvP server.
Yeah, hear that,
There's one
Swifty?
talent you're going to want to get, and that's Axe Specialization. This is because you get Whirlwind Axe at level 30, which is an iconic warrior weapon that does a crazy amount of damage.
I never got it. I never got the Whirlwind Axe. There were like these elites that I had to kill. Nobody would ever play with me. And like get in a group with me to like do the Whirlwind Axe. They never would do it. So I just had to sit there and deal with it on my own.
You'll be using it for a while. I mean, just look at it too. I mean, at level 30, everybody else is using like a worn stick or like a rusty dagger, and you got this awesome looking axe that looks like it's straight out of one of them animes.
What the fuck? Okay.
Also, try and group up with other players. The reason why warriors are so slow at leveling is the downtime they have between mobs, so if you get a healer, they can top you off and you can pull mob after mob.
So what's he saying? There's a girl there. I mean, what's he trying to say? How we know that she's a healer? You know, I mean...
This will also increase your DPS too because your rage won't deplete over time. Also, don't be worried about not being able to tank dungeons. All you need to do is just slap on a shield and a one-hander and you'll be good to go. Of course, when you hit level 60, you might want to consider respecking if you want to tank.
Nope.
In PvE, Fury is going to be your go-to cookie-cutter spec for DPS.
Duh.
Your rotation will be pretty simple. So you're going to mainly stay in Berserker stance and use Bloodthirst, Whirlwind, and Heroic Strike when you're at high rage, but you may have to swap over to Battle stance to use Overpower as well. When the boss gets to 20%, you just spam the ever-loving crap out of Execute.
It's like if you see somebody at low health, like you'd be like an execute machine, you know, like you're looking for people, 20%, you see somebody at 20%, boom, execute. See somebody at 20%, boom, execute, 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 execute.
The real challenge for DPS warriors is going to be getting your gear. Now, warriors are the most popular class to play in Classic, so you'll have lots of competition. Not to mention, when getting some of your gear, you'll also have to compete against rogues, hunters, feral druids, and maybe some shamans.
So I just don't
Best
invite them
in
to the
gear,
raid.
like the Devilosaur set, is going to be crazy expensive when you first hit level 60. So finding ways to make money is critical.
I'm not going to wear leather gear. You think I'm a bitch?
Warriors aren't just the best tanks in Classic. They are the tanks in Classic.
They're the best
Most of
everything
your time
in
when
Classic.
playing a tank will be focused on keeping threat and sundering armor, but other than that, it's about managing your cooldowns effectively. Spells like Shield Block, Thunderclap, and Demoralizing Shout should be kept up as much as possible. And Berserker's Rage is important to use against fights where the enemy can fear you. The only problem is you can only use the spell in Berserker's stance, not defensive. This is where stance comes in. So basically, the main strat that you're going to do is you're going to swap over to Berserker stance, use Berserker's Rage, and then instantly swap back to defensive stance and time it correctly. This is what separates the good tanks from the bad ones. Shield Wall and Last Stand are your oh shit buttons, but Last Stand has a 10-minute cooldown, so you need to use it wisely. Warrior tanks are always in demand in dungeons, but in raids you'll find some stiff competition because the amount of tanks required is so small in a 40-man raid.
Okay.
So warriors in general are pretty geared.
Unless you're doing 4 horsemen and you need 8. The thing is, like, warriors are, like, here's the thing about warriors in Classic. They're the best class. They do the most DPS. They're the best tanks. And who cares about healing? They're the best at PvP, PvE. It's everything. They're just the best. And ever since vanilla, it's just gone downhill. Like, whenever I saw this one screenshot and it showed warriors as just above everybody, like, you know, I look at the MDI, right? And you see, like, there's a warrior tank in everything. I think that's good. It's a good start. But why aren't we seeing 3 warrior DPS as well? Right? I mean, warrior, I mean, this is what the class is good for. It's like, if you can play a warrior, you should be rewarded for it. They should always be the best class.
Dependent, but this is most evident in PvP. The difference between having a pool noodle or ash candy will be night and day. Let me tell you though, once you do get that great gear, warrior is easily the most fun class to annihilate people in BGs as.
It's the best
biggest issue you'll face in PvP is getting towards your target in the first place. Hamstring is critical against mobile targets, but once you close that gap, they'll be in for some trouble.
That's right.
Frost mages will be the bane of your existence. You'll get slowed, rooted, and annoyed once you finally get to them, and then they blink away. And then you might consider re-rolling.
I literally did that.
Hi, you're a tall one.
Arms is your go-to spec for PvP because of the utility it offers, and I trust you'll find some fun in the class once you get some good gear. Warrior also has a pretty high skill ceiling because of the multitude of different cooldowns, stances, and neat little tricks to get the most out of your class.
It's the best class.
A brief example is that you can taunt hunter pets so they can attack you and break you out of traps or scatter shots.
So you used to do this back in Wrath, because like you used to have like this prot DPS spec where you would play a prot warrior but you'd actually do DPS, and you would taunt warlock pets in order for you to proc revenge, and you would proc revenge with the warlock pets, and you could just one-shot a caster with it. It was so fucking funny, dude. Like, prot warrior back in Wrath was the most broken thing in the entire game, You can still do this. Yeah, but it's not really as useful anymore. Like, it doesn't really matter. Back then, Revenge would crit for like 20k, and most people had like 30k health. It was ridiculous. Or I guess it would crit for like 10k in PvP. 20 in PvE.
How often will you use this knowledge? Well, probably not often, but knowing these little tricks can be super helpful in certain situations. Now, for professions, I'd recommend cooking
Engineering
and
and
maybe fishing while
blacksmithing.
you're leveling. If you're eating every mob or two, why not take the time to make sure you get some good food that increases your stats, right? Also, don't forget to be leveling up first aid while you're leveling. You're going to be using it a lot on your path to 60 and an endgame as well. Blacksmithing
Yeah,
is great
that's
because
true.
you can craft a multitude of great items like Invulnerable Mail, Titanic
Yep.
Leggings, or Arcanite Reaper.
Yep.
But the main item you're probably going to want to get is the Lionheart Helm.
The best helm.
This helm is BIS. Forever. And no, I'm not even joking. You won't find a better helm for a Fury Warrior in all of Classic. Sure, you could just buy it off another blacksmith, but why not
Yeah.
be the ones dishing them out instead? And look, this wouldn't be a Vanilla's Flavors episode without talking about engineering for a second.
Every question
Engineering
of
is
engineering.
especially useful for warriors in PvP because they can use the bombs to stun targets and close those gaps.
Yep.
Maybe then you'll even have a chance to touch a Frost Mage.
Maybe.
So macros are something that will make your life
Oh,
so
it's
much
so
easier
dumb,
in
dude.
Classic
Fucking
WoW,
macros.
especially for warriors. You'll need macros to help you out with stance dancing with just 2 simple clicks of a button.
I used to have all of these.
The only problem is you'll need an add-on called Super Macro, and this only works on undocumented servers.
Undocumented
But once
servers.
Classic comes out and add-ons start being made, I'll be sure to add a link in the description for a suitable mod. Warrior's go-to legendary is Thunder Fury. This legendary
I thought it
item
was
is a
RTS.
status symbol for any warrior and the guild he's a part of.
Yep.
You'll need a lot of luck for the items needed to drop in Molten
Yep.
Core, and a lot of gold for the regions to obtain the weapon.
Oh, Thunder
You and your
Fury.
whole raid team will need to travel to Silphus and face against the Windseeker to get the weapon. And the weapon is usually
Fuck
given to the
yes,
main
dude.
tank of the guild. Whoever
Fuck
obtains
yes,
such a
dude.
mighty weapon must truly be an all-star player. Did someone say Thunder Fury? See, you guys thought I wasn't gonna make this joke, but I made it. During the beta of the game, warriors were widely received as the worst class
Oh, we
ever.
watched this.
In the wake of all this negativity, a warrior named Indalamar
They
showed
hired
people
this
how
guy.
OP
Like
warriors
Blizzard
really
literally
are.
hired this guy because
He
he was so
showcased
good.
that spells like Bloodthirst and Slam were stupidly overpowered at the time,
Fuck
leading
yeah.
to warriors being nerfed pretty heavily back in beta. Indalamar was
Look
a
at this.
trailblazer in how to play a warrior, and this even got him
This
a
guy was
job
a-
at Blizzard
There
as an
it is.
optimization developer. He's got a few items named after him and holds a place in the Warrior Hall of Fame.
Wow.
And you too could be in the Hall of Fame if you choose a warrior. I'd recommend this class for anyone who isn't afraid of a challenge when leveling, willing to compete against others for gear, and someone who loves
That's
tanking
why you have
and melee
Master Loot.
focused combat, as well as a high skill ceiling in PvP.
Might have to play another class.
Well, there we go, the most requested class in the books. The only question now is, what class do you guys want to see next? Be sure to like and subscribe and go to my...
There is a lot of skill ceiling stuff for warriors. Let me see. Send this to Asmongold. I hope he exposes your channel to the fans. You know what? I'll give the video a link. Why not? Just a second. Rate my warrior mock, please. Not right now, dude. There you go.